I literally spent hours breaking down exactly the entire strategy Alex Hormozzi uses with his content strategy, and it is so in depth that I didn't want to release it. But you know what? I'm a good guy, so I'm gonna release it all for you and explain to you exactly how does he pull everything off from a lens of marketing, game theory, psychology, macroeconomics, etc. This is not one of those generic content breakdown videos wherein I'm going to be speaking about the same stuff you've already heard about. This resource took me literally weeks to finish, and there is a good reason why. So the overview of what actually we're going to be covering in this video is the strategic layer behind how he operates his marketing efforts and his business, which is very important for us to understand before we actually look at his marketing strategies, because it's important to have the right paradigms. Secondly, I'm going to break down exactly the YouTube strategy that he uses and how it is one of the best examples of going against the grain advice that you've heard. Thirdly, I'm going to look at the Instagram distribution strategy to make sure he has multi-platform awareness, how he pulls it off. And the fourth thing is the entire funnel stack on how his funnels work and converts audiences. Now, first of all, I want to go and cover into the real strategic layer. That is, you need to understand how he actually operates his business and how everything works in the first principles. The first thing we need to understand is that Alex has positioned his brand as the default answer for when you can't communicate. If I were to ask you to give me information around a specific topic, what's your first instinct? It's to Google, ChatGPT, maybe Claude. Why is that? Like, if you think about this, why is that? Why is that the default idea or the default solution that you look for? Isn't it interesting that these have become our default use cases whenever we have specific problems that we want to solve? And so the entire goal of his brand, that the entire goal of the Alex Hormozzi brand is to position him as the guy who has the answers, and that's what is dangerous about him and his team. It's a concept in game theory called shelling point. I think that's how it's pronounced. I just pronounce it as shelling point anyways. It's a solution people naturally converge to when they can't communicate. Right? This is a concept in game theory, and this is what his team is actively doing to make sure he wins. Now, first of all, before we actually look at everything, it is extremely important for us to understand that Hormozy is not a content creator with a portfolio company. He is, first of all, the owner of a portfolio company and happens to make content. If you, for example, this was what I did as a YouTube search, right, on a incognito tab. I asked YouTube like how to run ads for my business. I had Alex Hormozy come up as the second option, right? You can pretty much just search anything and you will have him come up. It is because his entire brand strategy is to become the shelling point for business education. That is, no matter what sort of questions or problems you have about running a business, his brand should be the thing that provides the solution to you. And that is the most dangerous thing about his entire brand. So why does he want to be the default guy for every business problem? Because shelling points are self-reinforcing. That is, once you're perceived as the default, people come to you, which in turn makes more people come to you. Like if, for example, everybody uses Google, literally everybody uses Google. Like the more people use Google as the default option, the more people start using Google in the first place. And that is the entire ideology, or that is the entire strategy with what we need to view all of his strategies that I'm going to be covering with like the YouTube stuff, Instagram stuff, funnel stuff. It's important for us to keep this in mind because it's called the power law dynamic of attention. That is, social media has a power law dynamic that is the top 20% of people own 80% of the market. The reason Hormozy is becoming the default is because the entire ideology is because he can get the best guests or collabs. For example, Tony Robbins, right? He can get the best people on planet Earth to want to be with him because he is the default option. Secondly, he creates future customers for him to acquire because ultimately he runs a portfolio company, which is the main business he runs. So obviously he wants to get customers for those businesses. And thirdly, he gets better equity terms because owners like him already, which is also another thing that most people don't even pay attention to. People already like him, so obviously they're going to want to give him better equity, so obviously he makes more money. And the fourth thing is becomes the benchmark that everybody compares against. He becomes the benchmark that people compare him to. When you're like the fifth biggest in any space, you get nothing. The fifth biggest person in the business education space, you probably don't even know. Even I don't know their name, even though they might be the fifth biggest competitor Alex Hormozy has. And that's the main dominant play Hormozy does the best. That is, he moved at the right time and created leverage, which is generational, genuinely. And what he has done is left competitors with no good advantage to reply back with. For example, let's just imagine we want to compete with Hormozy, right? So if a competitor does niched content, they optimize for short-term conversion but cap their addressable market. They never build the broad audience needed to become a selling point, so they remain in the scraps below Hormozy. But let's say if a competitor tries to do broad content, they're fighting Hormozy on terrain where he has a multi-year head start, a deeper library of thousands of pieces of content, higher production quality, better distribution, and more authority signals. That is, Hormozy's library compounds while competitors are still building theirs. So even that's not a viable option. Now, if a competitor does niche content and tries to challenge him later, by the time they've built the niche audience and tried to expand, Hormozy has already locked up the broader market and has the selling point in the first place. So as such, there is no good move. That is what Hormozy does the best. He moves in, dominates, and win. He did this with gym launch. He's doing this with school. Like, he creates a scenario in which there is no good move for you to win. There is no good move. Like, all of his competitors will not be able to compete with him. That's exactly why since 2020 to 2026 right now, there is no one who has overtaken him in the business education space. No one. There is no one. He's still at the best. He's still at the top. That is the paradigm we need to have. That is what we need to keep as a worldview as we're going to be breaking down as like all of his strategies. So what I want you to keep in mind is, as you're going through and watching this video, is that Hormoz is a business owner first and not a content creator. So he will optimize for business success and not fame. That is very important for us to understand. Now let's take a look at the YouTube strategy breakdown of how he actually makes YouTube videos and how you can use it yourself. So we're going to be breaking all of this down right now. So because of his portfolio company and his positioning, his brand has mainly three levels of audiences. That is, people doing $0 to $1 million a year, then is 1 million to 10 mil a year, and then there is 10 mil plus. We need to always keep this in mind when we analyze his content strategy, because it will either serve to all or one of his audiences. These are the three main audiences his content serves to. Now, it is important for us to understand how he does it, because in most cases it is either serving one of these audiences or all of these. Now, the main two channels we're going to be taking a look at is the highlights channel and the main channel he has. Now, the highlights channel has been recently popping off. I personally love this channel. I want to break down exactly why he's doing this as well, which is very interesting, which you will find very valuable as well. Now, the first thing is we need to understand the end goal, right? The end goal from YouTube. The entire goal of his YouTube is to drive clicks to his lead magnets. That is his free scaling roadmap. You've seen this, you probably opted in here, most probably. I did at least, right? Now, that is the main goal of all of his YouTube videos, is redirect traffic to this one web page. Now, this is where his team gets direct insights as to what type of audience is watching each video. Because ultimately, this lead magnet is there for his qualification of his audience, right? But when he redirects every piece of video to this web page, what happens is that he can have direct insights as to exactly what sort of audience of his three main levels of audience are actually watching and converting, which is infinite amounts of useful data than, the views and stuff. So Alex is not posting content to get clients. This is something I need you to understand and keep this in mind. He's not in the same scenario that you're in, wherein he's trying to build a brand to acquire customers as the main goal. The goal of content for him and his company is to unlock massive amounts of distribution for himself. That is the main goal that he has, right? It's not to, have short-term niched content success or business success, because he already has a lot of money. So if you're watching this, in most cases, this should not be your goal. It shouldn't be to get massive amounts of distribution, because in most cases, you don't really have any sort of audience in the first place. But it's still better to understand the game being played, because you can somewhat take elements from high-level businesses that actually use these strategies and implement them in your business. And I'll be walking you guys through exactly how to implement it yourself as well later on throughout the video. Now, we will specifically analyze his last 9 videos together. These are the last 9 videos he has. We're going to be analyzing these videos right now. Now, based on the data, here's what we can see. The VPH is, by the way, views per hour, which is a very important metric to track. The multiplier, and what this means, that is how to catch up in life. It has a 614 views per hour. That is a 3x multiplier. That means the algorithm is actively pushing all of this video specifically. If you look at any sort of video like how acquisition.com makes money, it's got 6 views per hour. It's almost dead. Now, the videos around business advice have the lowest performance in terms of views compared to the life related advice. So let's analyze some of these videos right now. So this is the first video that I'm going to break down with you. So first of all, let's just take a look at this video, that is how to catch up in life using logic. Now, the audience applicable is literally anybody, because there is no specific as such quality of audience that this can be applicable to. It is literally applicable to anybody. The next thing is the goal is to create huge top of funnel awareness of him. That's the main goal. This is so that people understand who he is, what he stands for, and creating an overall top of funnel awareness, and the consequences any new business owner enters into his ecosystem. Now, obviously, this video is not specifically business advice or for business owners, but since he's the guy who creates business education content, this huge top of funnel awareness funnels into the fact that he has business advice. So imagine it like this: out of 100 people, let's say he's got 50% of people who are business owners who are interested in catching up in life using logic. They enter into his ecosystem, which is ultimately really good. Now, if I break down the thumbnail specifically, he has a green color, which automatically we as humans convey or consider as right. So anything that is right, anything that is correct is usually represented in green. Anything that is wrong is usually represented in red. So that's what we naturally believe. So when we visually can see for ourselves, my bad, when we can visually see for ourselves that the word you is associated with the green color, we imagine that we are going to be in the correct position. And when we read the word that it says everyone else, we believe that, everyone else is in the wrong. So in like a few seconds, your brain thinks this is a video about beating everybody, which it is, technically, just because of this representation. Now, this I believe this sort of thumbnail format was popularized by Ryan Doris. If you know, you know. But this was mainly what he used, and this is what, visually it just showcases to you that you are going to beat more people. So naturally it inclines the people who are interested in that. Now, secondly, his face specifically here is, you can see he has a serious look. Now the brain thinks this is a serious video because he is not smiling. We can overall just see that his face isn't really showcasing any sort of what do you say, emotion of happiness or something. So it's a serious video, and it's not entertainment. So they associate his face with value, because since it's not entertainment, it's not a bullshit brain or video. They believe that it's something that is useful. Now, the title here specifically is how to catch up in life. This is the common desire among the masses, that most people want to catch up in life and want to, be ahead of the curve. And then using logic becomes the newer method that they've never heard about. They've heard about how to catch up in life with discipline, or they believe that there is no logical explanation on how to do it. That is why this video got a 3x multiplier, because it creates massive curiosity as to how can someone beat other people using logic. What does logic have to do with this? This becomes a very top of funnel focus video, because now this is where he's attracting a huge broad audience to funnel down into his ecosystem. Now let's take a look at this middle of funnel focus video. This is also a really banger explanation of why this video does a good job of attracting business owners. So you can see the audience applicable is specifically business owners because of the video, how it is built. The goal again is to show expertise through real life application, and the consequence is viewers end up seeing how of Alex. How does he operate? What does he think? What is the behind the process looking like? This is very important, because ultimately he has a portfolio company, right? And he wants to invest into businesses. And for him to convince business owners to actually give up their equity, or give up, or let him take the reins of their company and lead it to whatever success he gets, he needs to showcase his expertise of how he treats the business in the first place. This is the entire ideology behind this video. Now, based on the thumbnail, you can see there are two people. One is Alex and the other is a random person. So what this actually does is that it specifically helps you, and it convinces you. For example, like, let's say we see Alex here, we see this dude here, right? This makes you feel like others also want his help, because there is another random person. And secondly, Alex is, you can visually see he's writing something. So this suggests that the video will likely show the entire blueprint as to how he solved this problem for this specific person. And also the blueprint image behind both of them also suggests that it's sort of like a plan that he's going to give in the video, which people who are running businesses want to know what the plan is. They want to know the diagnosis of what he's going to be doing. Secondly, you can see the word ads is visible, or like has a yellow text. The reason why is because yellow is easily visible to the eye, and it's not associated with any bad emotion, in the sense that red is a, like, the brightest color you will ever see. The first color you will ever see is red because of its huge wavelength. But we associate red with bad things, and since he's not trying to portray ads as bad, he has it in yellow color, which obviously grabs your attention. And secondly, it's on a bluer background, so it stands out as well. Now, the word being used is fix your ads. Now, this suggests that one of the solutions that this business owner has to do is fix their ads. Now, this is very important, because the way this is built and the way the wording is built, like fix your ads, it specifically is applicable to people who already know how to run ads, right? If you think about this, beginners who want to get to 10K a month are not running ads because they don't know how to run ads. So if you would have had the text like start running ads, it would have been a text that would be applicable to beginners as well. But when he runs fix your ads, it's only applicable to people who already run ads anyways. It's only attractive to those people, which in turn obviously increases the quality of the audience. Just imagine how much in-depth information, or how much strategy is going behind these thumbnails. Now, the text, obviously, the title of the video is building a $2.5 million business. So this suggests that the video will likely cover high levels of information. The 10K a month kids won't be bothered to watch, this long ass video about this specific topic. And secondly, Instead of like writing 2.5 million, he has written it in figures like 2,500, all of that stuff. He's written it in that way because ultimately numbers stand out to us, and nobody like numbers. When we see numbers, we like to read what it is. In 36 minutes shows that the value will be delivered in only 36 minutes. That is the time delivery or the time duration between watching and getting value is only 36 minutes, and this makes it unreasonable for people who are interested in scaling to not watch, because they just have to give 36 minutes and learn how to run or build a $2.5 million business, which is only applicable to their current situation. This is how he attracts a lot of business owners who are qualified, who have the money to invest, and who want to have the solution from his company. This is how he does it. Let's take a look at another middle of funnel and bottom of funnel focus video. Now, this is very important for us to understand as well. Now, with this, the audience applicable is again business owners, and the goal is to showcase expertise through real life application. And the consequence is that viewers end up seeing the how of Alex. Again, it's the same thing. So again, it's two people seen. One is Alex and the other is a random person. So again, this makes you feel like others also want his help. But the second thing is the format of the video, right? Alex is speaking to him in person, and it makes it seem it's like a sneak peek, right? When you see this, you feel like these two people are conversing. And because they're conversing, when you visually see this, you feel like you're going to get a sneak peek of the conversation. Because let's be honest, we as humans love to poke our noses in other people's matters, right? We love to be the third wheel. We love to be the external person inside any sort of problems. We love to be that person. Like if, for example, like if friends have some sort of problem, you want to know what it is. Like you love drama, so it abuses that technically, because I won't say abuses, but it uses that technically, because now when you see this, you feel like you're getting a sneak peek into his world, which is very important for you to understand. Again, yellow text is easily visible. Now the word that is highlighted in yellow is what to do, because this is the main thing that he's trying to solve. Like this is the value that he's going to give, is he's going to tell you what to do. So he obviously highlighted it in yellow. Now the text on screen relates to business owners who don't know what to do when wanting to scale. The title is helping six business owners scale. Now this suggests that the viewer will get insight as to how does Alex operate with six different businesses, which is something that is valuable to business owners obviously. And in 33 minutes, again, so it shows the speed to value is less. Six different applications in 30 minutes seems like a steal. For you to sit down and get 6 minutes, six businesses breakdown in 30 minutes, it's just super hard to say no to this. So obviously it attracts a lot of qualified people. Now just from these two breakdowns alone, we can see that his main channel has only two goals. Now this is just three videos I broke down out of 9. This is just the intention behind how he does things. This is what I need you to understand, because this is how much intention and intentionality his team and his entire media team has in how to portray everything. Now, just from these two breakdowns alone, we can see that his business channel has only two goals. That is, showcase his business expertise so that people relate it to acquisition.com and how he operates in his business, so that when they want to scale to 100 mil a year, they will go to acquisition.com and him. Second leads to get more people to start running businesses with top of funnel focused traffic to drive people more towards school.com, because he's since a co-owner in school, he needs to attract a huge broad amount of people who are not even running businesses or who are starting businesses to get them onto school. Because once he gets them onto school, makes them the first dollar, he can then they and themselves think of themselves as business owners, watch more of his content, and then scale. Now let's break down the insane strategy behind his highlights channel, which is also very, very interesting. His highlights channel serves only one purpose, that is to create a web growth of attention. This is basically clipping, but with long form, since there is intention with long form content. This is very important for you to understand. Scrolling and consuming short form doesn't require for you to decide to click. There is no intentionality. When you scroll, you get fed videos. But with long form, each click is because someone wanted to click. There was intentionality. They wanted to watch the video, which is a key difference between short form and long form, and exactly why long form viewers have more value than short form, because with short form, you're being fed and your intentionality is decided by how long you watch. With long form, the intentionality is decided by the CTR, or how many people are actually clicking it. Plus, with this channel, he can have insight as to what does the market want. So we can see that if you specifically go on his channel, you'll be able to see that he pumps out a lot of content. It's almost like, from what I've seen, like 3 to sometimes even 10 videos a day, which is a lot. Now, why does he do that? Is because first of all, he has the amount of content to actually make this. And each of his smaller videos are clipped up parts of bigger long form videos. So obviously because of that, it's basically like clipping, but with long form content. Now, what this channel mainly does is it packages the video to come off as raw and authentic. It's something that is like a secret channel in which you get insider secrets about how he runs things. Creates title for specific niched angles and topics to master what would work. So it's essentially like a free market research for him to know exactly what does his audience respond well to. And thirdly, it creates more distribution, since he can choose to upload 3 to 5 times a day, and YouTube loves that. The YouTube will reward you posting better and quality content. Now, with YouTube specifically, like if you post AI generated bullshit, it doesn't like that. But since this is not AI generated bullshit, he can post 3 to 5 times a day minimum with his team. YouTube loves it, so it pushes it out more. So it creates like this insane feedback loop wherein he can mass test angles and topics which the audience likes and what converts the best, and then make them on the main channel. But it does something way more important, that is, it provides value in a very quick time frame around the specific topic the viewer is concerned about, which makes them want to find out what the video this was from, which increases the watch time per viewer, which leads to faster conversion. That is, because they see a small topic, they like it, they want to figure out where did this video actually come from. So they go and find the main video and then they watch the entire video. So essentially you can get this person to watch the video twice for longer periods of time, which in turn creates faster conversion because they're watching more of your content, if that makes sense. This is one of the smartest methods to create distribution, with which others got wrong. That is, Tate, Iman, all these people popularized clipping. They got it wrong because they focus on choosing as much attention as possible using short form. He focused on choosing intentional viewers as much as possible, which is very advantageous because it helps you to understand the real intentions of the market instead of what you assume things to be. But that does not mean he neglects his Instagram side of things. So let me explain his Instagram strategy breakdown. It is very simple. The Instagram strategy isn't really that complicated. It's very simple, especially with story sequences, highlight sequences. It is all just super basic stuff which you already know about. There is no newer things that he does which you're actually actively looking for. Now his Instagram strategy is pretty simple. Firstly, it is important for us to understand how it is set up. So if you take a look at his profile picture, obviously it is the same as YouTube, which creates similarity in branding and all of the stuff. The bio shows what he does. So founder at acquisition.com, co-founder school. I talk about scaling businesses. Get your free scaling roadmap. Obviously the link in bio goes to his main lead magnet again, the same lead magnet. Now, there's one thing we need to understand, that the market is very skeptical because they don't trust you, they don't know what you do, they don't like you. We have to always assume that. Even though he might be Hormozis, there is still people who don't know about him. So they don't trust him, they don't know what they do, they don't like you. So to account for this, he has 3 pinned posts to his profile, each of them destroying the objection his leads might potentially have when they land on his profile. That is, here's what I believe, that is, what does he stand for, specifically talking about his wife. Then secondly, here's what I do, how he makes money, so that when, they it solves for this question and this objection they have, that they don't know what he does, they don't like him, they like him after he learns about his perspectives around his wife. And then thirdly, here's my story, when they listen to the story about how he has done things, they start trusting him more. Now each of these pinned reels are not pinned because they performed well or they're the most viewed video that most people do. They're pinned because it straight up answers all of the important questions each lead magnet or each lead might have. Sorry, not lead magnet. Now this makes sure that whenever any cold traffic comes in, the entire system is optimized for them to be converted. Because the point of Instagram is to create likability and awareness around your brand. Nobody scrolls on Instagram with the intention to educate themselves. The main goal is to not educate, but to make people know what we think and showcase that we have the knowledge in the first place. Because we need to be reminded more often than we need to be taught, right? So with Instagram, the goal is to not give you as much value as possible so that you can implement it stuff. It is to create likability and awareness about your brand. Now, what's the intention behind each video and how does he structure everything? Now, each reel has 3 main components, and when every component is maximized, it is when you create 100% leverage. That is the video itself, the text on screen, and the audio. Now, each of these play an important role in how well a video does, because what you say verbally should make sense with what the viewer hears and sees. If I'm talking about aeroplanes and I'm showing you a picture of a car, it's going to create cognitive dissonance, which we hate. So people don't watch. The fact that all of these 3 make sense together is what is the highest amount of leverage you can do. Now, each reel has all these 3 working components. So let me just show you exactly how. Now, if we just take a look at this video. Now, this is just the thumbnail of the video, by the way. The thumbnail of the video has a text that says, "My business falls apart without me." Visually, you can see what the convo is going to be about. You know the convo is going to be about this specific thing. A split screen with his face and hers at the bottom. Now, it makes sense with what the audience will hear since it's a clip of 2 people speaking. It's 2 people speaking. Before you even watch the video as the thumbnail, you see 2 people. So you know it's making sense, and there is no background audio since it's a conversation. So all 3 components make sense together. Now the video provides quick information around this problem, and qualified prospects like this because they can see the kind of advice he gives. They're no qualified prospect, or for example, like let's say you're trying to attract a B2B audience, no buyer is going to actually like or implement the advice you give. They're just going to like what you say. They're going to like the fact that you thought of that, which is the key point for you to understand. Let's take a look at this reel, for example. Right, this reel is a talking head video about you need to be extraordinary. So it shows his perspective on what he experienced and his advice, and it is applicable to ambitious individuals. Again, a super top of funnel based broad stuff. Now the screen or the video itself has 2 words max as subtitles, so it's easier for you to read and digest. Now the audio, for example, is Cornfield Chase, Interstellar, associated with motivation and innovation. These two sounds, or like the soundtracks, are associated with like motivation or like inspiration or innovation of doing big things, right? And it makes sense to hear that since the video talks about that specific topic. So it creates the right emotion in the mind. So again, because it creates the right emotion, people want to watch this further. Now he in general uploads 2 to 3 business specific reels and 1 reel about a personal topic. This ensures that Instagram still suggests the videos to business owners or people who are ambitious, while also making sure it's not broke people who want entertainment, right? His Instagram strategy is pretty simple overall, but we have been noticing he always runs all CTAs to a simple lead magnet, and here is why. We've understood Instagram right now of how he builds everything. We understand the YouTube strategy as well, but here is exactly how his funnel architecture looks like. Now, Alex mainly runs a free lead magnet funnel, which is very contrary to popular beliefs because a lot of these business gurus say it doesn't work, even though he is running it, which I don't know how that makes sense. But anyways, the problem with most is that they suck, right? Most lead magnet funnels suck, and that's why his lead magnet is actually good because it has a goal. Like he wants to help you cross your business stage and move on to the next level, right? He wants you to do that, and to do that, this is the goal of the lead magnet. That's why he has the lead magnet built, and there is some intention behind actually building that, because now instead of you having a lead magnet which is a free resource again which nobody likes, it gives you a solution to solve for your exact stage. And here's a basic setup of how it looks like. You've got an opt-in page, you've got a thank you page, you've got an email, you've also got a video version of the entire lead magnet itself, which is also way more valuable to people because it's technically a free course. And then you've also, from the email, you get a PDF version of the entire lead magnet itself, which again is super valuable. Now the thing is that you opt in with your email and name, and then you enter the following details, that is your revenue, your employee count, and your percentage stakes in the company. How much of the business do you actually own? Now you get redirected to a thank you page, which also links to the video module specifically built to solve your problems at your stage. And you also get an email with the exact PDF containing instructions on how to solve the problems at your specific stage. But what does Hormozi gain from this specifically? Like we all know, he gets a lead list, which is obviously the same of potential buyers, which is pretty understanding. But second thing is he understands the revenue demographics of his audience. So he can track, I'm pretty sure he has a tracking mechanism to do this. He can track exactly every single video what type of revenue demographic is actually opting in from that video, because then he can contact potential clients for a portfolio company instantly, or people who make, let's say, 10 million plus, who have got 50% stakes. He can instantly contact them, he can provide more value to them, obviously, which is way more important, which is what his business is all about, right? He wants to grow his business, obviously. That's the main thing. And fourthly, he can track what type of content drives what type of leads. He can know exactly, for example, if he's making a top of funnel video about how to win in life using logic, he'll be able to see exactly, like, am I attracting people less than 10K a month? Am I attracting people at less than 100K a month? What type of demographic is attracted and opts in for this lead magnet from the kind of videos I'm making? Because then he can then create videos in which he can actually have potential clients for his portfolio company and push that out more, which is insane amount of data, which is invaluable. It is such a simple yet effective funnel because he can create mass personalization at scale with basically zero operational drag on his part. Because he can then classify each and every one of his audience members into specific revenue parts and demographics, which is, creating technically mass personalization because his PDF has personalization, but there is zero operational drag because it's all automated in the backend. But you will not be able to replicate this for yourself because you need to understand the right level you are operating at, and here's how you implement the exact steps. So this is your implementation steps on how you can use this information. First of all is to understand your brand level. That is, each personal brand operates at different levels, but the key point is that each brand must go through the following stages. That is, each and every video or any brand that you're making, no matter what brand you're trying to make, it has to go through these 3 steps. That is, first of all, you have to create likability with your brand, then you have to create credibility with your brand, and then you have to create admirability with your brand. If you try and create credibility without likability, your brand will not convert, it will not work for you. Likability is where you post content to make people like who you are and what you stand for and what you do. This is the personal part in branding. This is what is personal about branding. That is, you create likability and make people want to be want to like you. So in credibility, you focus on obviously creating credibility around your brand and your expertise. Now this is where the maximum amount of conversion will actually take place and maximum education takes place. Most people actually build on this. They start building their brand with credibility, which obviously does not work because you have to have likability in the first place. And thirdly is admirability. This is the final stage where you have to have a shit ton of proof of your ability, your goal, and now it's time to make people want to be like you. This is the end stage of any brand, this is what Hormozis is currently doing. He's focused on admirability. Understanding the right level of your brand is very important and extremely important, because if you fumble this shit, you fumble your entire brand and it's cooked for you basically. Most of you watching will be in likability, or maybe some of you will be in credibility. If you are focused on admirability, you probably don't even need this video in the first place. Now, second thing is crafting the right messaging. Now, what you say matters, but how you say it matters more. Let's imagine you sell fitness coaching for high level entrepreneurs. Now, imagine you create a video about fat loss. You're making a video about fat loss. This is applicable to literally anyone and doesn't even speak to your ICP. Fat loss is something literally almost every single person on this earth will be feeling relevant to, especially if you're fat, right? Thus, you will have broke people coming in because your messaging doesn't align with what you're actually selling. You're selling to high level entrepreneurs, but you're attracting fat 13-year-olds from England or something, I don't know, who are fat. So obviously you don't want that. Now imagine instead of using the word fat loss or talking about fat loss, you speak about peak physical wellness or maximizing physical efficiency. Name me one kid who's fat, who wants to lose weight, who's like interested in maximizing physical efficiency or having a peak physical wellness. Nobody. This is what high level founders or working professionals or people with money speak. These are the words they speak. And these are the words they will listen and care about. And they care about being the best and being as efficient as possible. Your ICP of high level entrepreneurs are not involved or not interested in fat loss. They're interested in having peak physical efficiency or being at the peak physical state. That is what they're interested in. So your messaging has to make sense with what you're trying to sell and what you're trying to say. So the second thing you need to fix is craft the right messaging with your brand. That is, understand exactly what is it that you're trying to sell and how can you attract the right team and how can you attract the right people. So like third thing is installing the right systems. Now there is no point in creating content if you don't have data to back it up. If you can't track your content data, you're basically cooked. There's no point. Like you cannot just post content and expect people to actually care. Data around content will change your business, and you need to implement systems around data tracking. So you can either watch this video that I've linked here, which you can go on my profile and see. This is my, I think the second like the latest video I had uploaded, how to build a content system. You can watch that. Or if you want to know how we can install these systems in your businesses and help you book an additional title calls with your content with our custom attribution systems that basically help you automatically track buyer journey with content and see what videos actually make you money, click the first link in the description. It is a VSL. I'll be honest, I'm trying to sell you something, but it is a VSL. If you're interested in actually just help, having us install this for you specifically, click the first link in the description, book in a call. I'll see you on the call soon. Otherwise, you can watch this video and build it out for yourself. I don't really care. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Peace.